And we are live. Welcome back to the stream. This is Jun-chan, and today we are working on our NBody simulation in Haskell on the GPU task. And so let's dive into it. I've made a few changes to how I was organizing my logs. I realized that the blog that we're writing actually fits perfectly well inside the log for the NBody problem right in there. And I guess I should make my little sort of disclaimer intro, you know, like if you're just new to the stream or if you're watching this on YouTube and this is your first video, just know that I like to follow tangents, but that usually I come back to what we were working on. So I pop back the stack and then, you know, this is a new exercise, so everything might change without notice. I try to keep things organized, but, you know, I'm trying to also evolve, so things might change. And yeah, you know, I'm doing this because I find that it's an interesting experiment to work and learn in the open. I've learned a lot from others who have done this. They do this at a way higher level than I do it, but hopefully I can do it and it's useful for others who are maybe newer to the functional programming world. So let's dive into the NBody and our tasks. So honestly, what we've been mostly doing in the first 5 streams, and who knows, it might continue for a while, and that's just the reality of the environment that I chose, is that we have been doing quite a lot of just setting up the environment in order to just be able to run, you know, some of the example code that's sampled with the Accelerate library, but, you know, running on the GPU and so on. And admittedly, you know, the people who that maintain the library don't test it for Windows. I am new on, or new, let's say I'm old on Windows, but I haven't used it in like maybe 15 years or so. So I'm back to it, and it seems like it's, you know, generally not a very widely used environment for this kind of work. It was even, you know, kind of, let's say there's a multiple, it doesn't seem to be a golden path to installing Haskell. There's a few different choices. I end up following a choice that actually, you know, unlocked some of the problem that I had, in particular using pkgconfig to identify whether a library was installed or not. And it seems like the MSys2 environment or MinGW64 environment is actually working so far. I mean, we haven't yet compiled everything, so I don't know. But there's some of the stuff that we've also installed that have been installed with this chocolatey Windows package manager, and it seems to work relatively well. Basically, most of the Haskell tooling, GHC and Cabal, and even Stack I've installed now with chocolatey. And then most of the libraries that are needed by Accelerate, and specifically the LLVM PTX backend, meaning LLVM plus CUDA, that also seem to work fairly well with Ming W64. At least it's available. And but however, the current state of things is that we have a couple of compilation errors that are related to both CUDA and LLVM, so that's where we'll start with today. And yeah, I should say maybe just a little bit about, you know, the overall goal. I mean, you know, it is to learn about doing Haskell on the GPU, and NBody simulation is a physics simulation of gravitational pull between n bodies. And you know, further down the line, when we start getting comfortable with this, then I'm wondering whether this can be used as a layout algorithm. There's prior art in using physics simulation for layouts, especially for graph layouts. So I'm wondering whether I could do that. And then maybe I'll push the envelope a bit, see how this works with more like streaming abstraction. So, you know, what if we're streaming position changes or something, and then we need to calculate a physics simulation on top of that? And how does that work? How do we do this efficiently? Which means basically sort of, you know, data flow programs, but that work maybe seamlessly across the I/O, CPU, GPU computation environments. And then there's something that I started that I think is more even further down in the horizon, but it's a current, like that might, you know, sort of lock us all the way to some of the most current research in the field. And that's nested data parallelism. And this in contrast with Accelerate, which is a flat data parallelism, is that it would allow more expressive style of algorithms to be programmed on top and be parallelized with this kind of frameworks. Unfortunately, there's an interesting history there around that nested data parallelism in Haskell, and I was just watching Simon Peyton-Jones' talk on this. Put it here. Simon, that's the Microsoft research. Simon Peyton-Jones and nested data. That should be sufficient. Harnessing the multicore. That's unfortunately quite poor quality video. Even the editing is actually not so good. But you know, maybe I'll do a little cleanup of our windows and our tabs. I'll keep a few things, but I'll remove those. And let's copy all those guys. Oh, right, I didn't need to copy all of them, but here we go. And so in this video, which is, quite dates a bit, that's when a paper was released on this. Basically, what happens is that it seems that there was such a thing as an implementation in GHC called DPH. And I saw on Reddit that it's been deprecated. I should probably also show this. Reddit DPH nested blah. Yeah, that's it. So some of the recent discussion on this explained that DPH, because it was a big part of GAC's code, but that nobody was using it because it had bumped into some theoretical difficulties, which I'll come back to. It's actually explained here. That basically it's been now removed from GHC's code. However, there seems to be work ongoing in several areas. One is to add nested data parallelism to Accelerate, which would be awesome. So I tried to track this down, and it looks like, in fact, the tip of this now, 4 years later, is that the author here that's mentioned is actually more involved in Futark, which is a language whose compiler is actually written in Haskell. And so there's some Haskell bindings and whatnot, but this language is specifically designed to help with nested data parallelism, and it's purely functional. It has some interesting where it stands on design point. It has a simple type system compared to Haskell, but it allows imperative style in-place modification of arrays while preserving purity of the language via the use of a uniqueness typed system. So I'm quite curious about that. That might be, I don't know if it's similar to linear types, which allow to track number of times that a specific variable is used. But so that seems to be quite the edge. There are papers in 2019, 2020, and those papers claim some pretty impressive improvements over some of them, specifically for the NBody problem. I think the original, so that's actually the code for it, but the what about the paper? Nested data parallelism. I don't know how to write this, but it's okay, I think. Right, so incremental, that's super interesting to me as well, because that might sort of tie in with the data flow and streaming abstraction. I'm generally also very interested in incremental programming. And I think this is it, yes. And check this out. Below, so these are all the details. Yeah, below there's benchmarks, and the NBody problem on an NVIDIA, like actually an older GPU than the one I have. This is like almost a 10x improvement. So I don't know which NBody, what is their reference program, but because there is an implementation in Accelerate, right? The one that we want to check out, but there's also one in the CUDA in the CUDA SDK. And already Accelerate was claiming like, I don't know, a 2x improvement or something on the CUDA SDK implementation. So I don't know which one, but that's pretty impressive. Plus, nested data parallelism seems to be quite adequate, or quite the right abstraction to talk about graph computations as well. In parallel with parallel implementations or parallel backends. So yeah, so DPH has been, it seems, maybe already removed from the internal of UHC, and there's this sort of edgy research projects, but it seems to be usable. Like in the language, they do mention that, you know, it's it can be, it's not, it can already be used for non-trivial programs and to generate high-performance parallel code. So, you know, some interface with Python, some interface with C, also an interface with Haskell called FruitHask, I think, yeah. And so, yeah, so I definitely want to try this out once we've, you know, started getting going on Accelerate, and see where that takes us. The other area that I spotted is something that Simon Petton-Jones talks about in his video, which is that the original idea and the author of some of the techniques that I use to transform a nested data parallelism program into, or problem even, into a flat data parallelism problem, that was that the author also had this research language called Nestle. And so it seems like there's a Nestle to CUDA compiler, which is another area of work, apparently, of ongoing work, at least as of 4 years ago. All right, so that's the kind of researchy, introductory bit. And let's dive into the swampy system bits. And so let's get a terminal window up and running, and let's take a look at what the state of things was. I said current state is this. So this, by going into our user folder, I forget where we were, data, where are we working? Shared, I think, and NBody. Yeah, and then I have a workspace here that I can open, and that's going to be useful. I need to open a new window. Oops, I don't know what I did, but went too fast. And can I find the Haskell, the NBody workspace somewhere here? Not at first glance, so let me instead open workspace and go in workshop, and that's not the right workshop. And so I think I might need to go through this way. Things are not very organized, but that's all good, right? I mean, I hope it's not too annoying for you, the viewer. Okay. Good, so now we can also launch the compilation as I promised. And so for that, we need to go into Accelerate Example. And I think, do we have this? Yeah, that's oh, right. Yeah, so I should really fix this. I'm going to put this as a as something to do after I fix the compilation. Add past changes to, I don't know if there's a bash RC. You know, this environment is really strange. It doesn't even start inside the, so I should also add this, start in C users June, and this is Alacrity. This is kind of environment things, but this is a little bit annoying, so let's do this. Okay, and so it thinks we're more or less at the same state, though it might compile gloss accelerate this time for some reason. Okay, so let's see whether we can Google this. So none of that is Haskell-y. So maybe I'll add MSys2 as the, and maybe MinGW64. That doesn't seem to be changing anything, so I'll see if this, okay, I see. Okay. How about MSys2? No. How about no? Okay. So you see here that it does find a toolkit, right? So maybe we need to go check out what how Cabal tries to find this library. I don't know how this works. That's actually something interesting to find out, because I don't know. So I suppose this is going to be all in the, well, it's going to be all in a dependency. It could be that we have some info maybe in the build folder for this. Not that I can see. Oh, hey, Juan, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, so another thing I could do is do Haskell or even Hackage CUDA and see if that's the right one that's imported by does this get CUDA? It doesn't look like it does. So probably need to find also need to find accelerate, all the accelerates. Hey, what is working today? Tell me. Oh, right. Okay, so that's exactly what we're looking for. That's the package, and so the code. Okay, we get the code here. The chat message thing. Yes, it is. You know, and also what's working is therefore is my brain and me remembering that I have a checklist, you know. Is the music working as well? Right, so let's go check this out. And let's go see stack 88 and what the dependencies are. Ah, nice. Professional. Okay, so extra depths, CUDA 0, 10, blah, blah. That seems like that would be this, right? 0, 10, 2, yes. So let's go check out the code for this, because I suppose that this is this library that's outputting this message there. And so that would be somehow after compilation, it would be at configuration. The plan for today is to try and fix our CUDA 10.2 build, and after that we'll have a LLVM 9 build to fix. And depending on whether we fix this on this stream or not, then I want to, you know, just run the example and play with it a little bit, because it's going to be pretty and I'm going to be happy. And then next time we will do some environment thing, because there was some there was some lack of prettiness in terms of the fact that I had to copy paste this code and I should just put it into my bash RC or something, or my bash profile, but I don't want to waste more time in doing things like this on the shell right now. Yeah, correct. CUDA is the proprietary library for executing code on NVIDIA's GPUs. So, the GPU performance is measured in CUDA cores in NVIDIA GPUs. There's an open standard for talking to any manners of GPUs called OpenCL, specifically related to what we're doing, which is more computation. And yeah, but that's the lowdown on CUDA. And right now we're trying CUDA because I have a CUDA CPU. But earlier in the stream, I was talking about some more researchy things, and what I like in particular, the Futhark language, which is like a more advanced version of the accelerate thing. And that seems to compile to OpenCL. So, well, actually, there's both a CUDA and an OpenCL backend. So, you know, there's a traditional trade-off between choosing a CUDA backend or an OpenCL backend, and you can actually talk OpenCL to an NVIDIA card, but then you might not have, you know, the finest optimizations that are available on CUDA. So, and that's a fairly traditional trade-off with open standards versus, you know, proprietary bindings. And so we're now tracking where this error comes from, because we still haven't compiled accelerate the examples that we want to run. And two error messages we have is one related to CUDA and the other related to LLVM. And so we're troubleshooting the CUDA one. And so I was tracing which library was outputting this error message, and I think we are now in the GitHub of the library that is outputting this error message. So I should be able to see what exactly is it doing, and what is this run interactive process, and why does it not exist, because all of this doesn't make sense to me at this point. So it could be in setup. Run interactive process, no. Let's see, maybe let's see if nm is here, and internally it assumes that nn-tool is present in path. Should be always true. Okay. So that sounds like that's exactly what we want, and that it was trying to run maybe even exactly this and failing, and therefore so this might be just a question of updating our path again, and if that's what it is, then I'm very happy, because it's very simple. So indeed, if I cannot run nm here, and that we do have a CUDA somewhere in here. Yeah, right. Copy pasting is a very advanced technology, therefore it doesn't work here. Oh boy. You know what? Let's use the Explorer for this. No, I don't want to use the Explorer for this. Okay. C users. I don't see program files. NVIDIA blah. No, you don't want to do. Oh, this way, yeah. NVIDIA GPU computing CUDA v10.2, and we have a bin folder, and oh my god, this is so slow. Can't believe it. Wow. And plus we lost our current command. Such beauties. And we do not have nm here. So hold on. What is NM? Oh, as NM is distributed along with GHC. What? Okay, so that is something that I do not know about. NM. With NM. What is NM? Can we run it from another shell so that we can maybe find its path? Like git bash, for instance. No, git bash not gonna work because that's exactly what we're in reality. So maybe the PowerShell? NM? Nope. Okay, I have no idea what NM is. So give me NM and GHC, please. GNU NM. Non-GNU NM. Okay, so maybe it's in the package library here. If we go to search and do NM, maybe in packages. No. Okay, maybe GNU tools NM. There we go. NM lists the symbols for object files. Okay. Fine. Oh, there we go. Well, that's for Debian though. Yeah, that's not for... Oh, what? You can still use NM. GNU bin utils. Okay, bin utils. I think that's what we're looking for. Bin utils. And so set a program to sample manipulate binary and object files, and we'll use the same flavors that we use for everything, so that we hopefully don't have to change more of our path. Okay, that's not the right way to spell that. Yes, please. And so we'll add it to the list of things in here. Hopefully it'll just be installed in bin. CUDA assumes that it's distributed with GHC, which is an interesting thing. And this, what did the, right. The GHC repo says what? Not clear. And NM. Yay. So we have an NM, and therefore I'm going to retry my cabal command, because it should mean that this will fire now. How do I handle stress? That is a good question. I mean, you know, historically I tend to isolate. Yeah, that's so it's not really, you know, it's not really handling it. That's more like, what are my natural reactions to it, right? But I guess because everyone has different reactions to it, then everyone's remedy is going to be a little bit different, right? And I think it also depends the type of stress. And it depends, how far into the stress I am and when I realize it. Because when I was younger, I get under tremendous amount of stress, but if you'd ask me, I wouldn't even be realizing, I just work myself to being completely burnt out, and I sort of intuit that something was wrong, but I didn't even necessarily realize it. And so it took me quite a while to develop, I think, the emotional awareness and the bodily awareness that sort of now I feel like, alert me a little bit earlier about the fact that something is wrong. And then it depends a little bit, right? Because some stress is, there's really different kinds of stress. Actually, I was listening to a podcast, Tim Ferriss's podcast, where there was this guy, Jim Lur, I think his name is, who's like he trains like Olympic athletes. And he was talking about, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a totally like a big mind person, but I think I've evolved quite a bit in the past, maybe 10 years or something, and been more in touch with my body and my emotions. It's been a process for me, and something that I consider really important for, in fact, anyone to undergo, especially because our society tends to favor mind so much that there's no real incentive to start really being in touch with emotions and body. But this Jim Lur guy, he talks about stress like in fairly positive manners, saying, that there's stress and recovery. That's part of a training process. But I suppose that makes sense, because if he trains Olympic athletes, then then in that case, stress is in fact conscious stress. Usually, it's like the effort that you put in during training, during competition. All of that comes in, and so then following that by recovery, then and being in that cycle, it kind of makes sense. But I guess for everybody, maybe that's not exactly that, because there's a lot of involuntary stress that you're experiencing. And so in that case, sometimes, and that's what I was saying at the beginning, like isolating or, removing that stress, so maybe that toxicity away from you, sometimes is a good first step to just allow you to count your chickens and make sure that, that you can differentiate the stuff that's coming from outside and impacting you negatively, or the things that are actually, you're responsible for. And I think that's not always as simple to differentiate. At least for me, in my experience, it hasn't been always as simple to differentiate the two. And so, and then when it depends. Then if I realize that it's because I'm tired, or I'm not caring enough about my body, then I'll put a little bit of effort in my body. If I feel like maybe I'm getting withdrawn and I need to be a little bit more available with my friends, then I spend a little bit more time with my friends, and I'll try to share what I'm going through, and usually that's really helpful for emotionally related things, and if I realize after that really it's more like the situation that I'm in that's actually causing me a lot of stress, then I think I'll try and weigh the pros and cons of whether I need to get myself out of this situation, right? That's, for instance, something that you might have to decide when you're in a job and constantly under stress. Then maybe the job is causing that, and maybe you need to change. So that's kind of how I would approach this in general. Okay, we made progress. We have a different error message. In fact, hold on. Is this even an error message? It says configuring processing. Oh, okay. It's looking for C2HS, and that doesn't exist. So that might be an error. Yeah, that is an error. But otherwise, when it was doing the configuring, then in that case, it seemed like that was all good. Like the NM bits, that's dealt with. So now we have a C2HS problem. So let's see whether we can find that. Was that a helpful one as a general comment on stress? Feel free to ask me more about this. I don't mind. C2HS. Preprocessor for Haskell FFI. I see. Oh, Cabal install C2HS. Well, that's perfect. Let's just do that. And in fact, hold on. I did add my thing into the list, so that's good. And yeah, we did Cabal install for something else. Yeah, for no, hold on. Cabal. Yeah, HPAC. Okay, so let's do C2HS. And maybe I should, yeah, maybe I should document this a little bit better. HPAC, use HPAC to build the accelerate examples with Cabal, but stack might be enough. And then C2HS is needed by the CUDA library. Okay. Yeah, you know, stress is something that I imagine humans experienced for as long as humans walk the planet. Except that the nature of stress has changed so dramatically that it's hard to keep, you know, up to date with what we should do about it, because the world has changed so much and our lives are so different, and maybe we more than ever have. So it's so difficult to know what we share in the stress that we encounter and what we don't. But it's an important thing to wonder about. And there's definitely stress that is meant to strengthen you, which is what I was also hinting at by talking about this Olympic athlete coach. There's stress that in fact will make you grow, and it's also not a good, in my view, it's not very balanced to try and avoid all stress. It will make you maybe ill prepared for a world that is not necessarily always gentle. Okay, so we're installing C2HS, we've documented it, so it's all going pretty well, I would say. Maybe while this installs, we can think about what is the LLVM issue we're having. Program LLVM config version 9 is required, but the version of LLVM config cannot be determined. Right. Yeah, in fact, that's right. So I do have another terminal in here, so I can pass on the path stuff again, and then do LLVM config and do -- version, and that. Oh, right. Oh, I thought we solved that the other time. Oh, right. Right. There was a weird thing going on. I thought I solved it, maybe. And this might be a question about where, like, some of the lib and environment variable, like ld-config kind of stuff, or even like I forget how these lib stuff are called, where those guys are located, because I thought, yeah, there was a weird like moment in the last stream about this, which is that this libstd, libstd, so the C++ standard library right there, that this, I thought that I didn't see it in the bin directory here. Is it here now? No. I know it is here, and it's also in the path, but maybe that's not the right, maybe it doesn't need to be in the path, maybe it needs to be in some kind of lib config thing. Right, so I think, didn't I do LDD on LVM config? Maybe LLVM config.exe. Okay, you need to know where it is. Fine. Right, and I thought I did something clever with my bashism, but I'm pretty sure there's a way, isn't it? Maybe, okay, let me test those things. Doesn't this give me the output of the previous command? No, it doesn't. Okay, bash bang pattern last output. So I don't want the last argument. I want the last result, because I know about the last argument. Oh, bash bash, bang bang. No. No, of course not. Bang bang is the full. I know bang bang. Bang commands. And I am drinking some amazing pineapple juice. Oh yeah. Okay, why is it searching in Bing? I know that I said bang, but I didn't mean Bing. What? Oh, because probably I Okay, I see. Because I searched from here instead of searching from here. Oh boy. Yeah, I agree. Repeat the last command, repeat the ends command, repeat the last command. Repeat but substitute. Repeat command argument. Print out commands. Sometimes you print out the command but don't want it executed. Interesting. Okay, so there is no such thing as... Oh, that's sad. Oh, maybe it's in $0. Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but... No, right. So, hold on. Let's see. Do the which, and then echo $1. No. Okay. Unix shell. Last result. Oh yeah. Well, you know what? When I was a teenager, even before I went to university, like in the couple of years before that, I actually had really bad stomach cramps, and I went to a doctor that sent me to a specialist, gastro blah, and he did an endoscopy. Right? He put in a camera into my belly. And found out that I had a lot of what's called, how is it called in English? Reflux biliaire. Gastric paraphiliaire. Translates. A bile reflux. Meaning that my bile is produced by the gallbladder or gall, and it's very acidic, and it goes concentrated in the gallbladder, and it was going into my stomach and creating the cramps, and he sucked it all out. Like it was a little bit ugly. Like took the thing out, put it in a jar, right? There was quite a lot of it, and like just immediately afterwards, I was like feeling nothing, right? And for a few days, it was absolutely perfect. And so the realization of the fact that I was, in fact, I was generating that stuff myself. That really helped, because then I started to, realize that if I was generating it, then there was some part of me, at least, even if it was subconscious and it was my body that was doing it, that could maybe, if not control it directly, maybe a bit more aware of it, and so that took me on a journey, I think, to maybe it's some of the stuff that made me be interested in the kind of the mind-body relationship afterwards, but it really diminished afterwards, because I think when I when I would feel like just a little bit of it before it started getting worse, then I would remember, hey, damn it, I'm somehow doing this. Like, how am I doing this now? And, I'd realize like maybe I'm tense, or maybe I'm, brooding, or like, repeating the same negative ideas in my head or something like that. And that my posture is maybe inward or stress. And so, take a breath and relax and do something to try and counteract it. And after a while, I mean, it's not like it's never happened to me since. But compared to the fact that it was just happening like on an ongoing basis at that point in my life, it definitely changed after I realized that I could maybe do something about it, or if not do well, that I could maybe at least do something about it. I think let's be clear about it. Okay, what is this? Bang bang. Okay, yes. Oh, backtick bang bang, is that? But oh yeah, that's a subshell, isn't it? So that's what I was doing, except I used this command for the subshell. So I guess I was doing it right. I thought I was a little bit ashamed about my bashism, thinking, there's probably a better bashism, but in fact, it was probably fine. And except that it's LDD. And so this should show the libstd6, but it doesn't. So I'm confused. That's what happens when you do what I say at the beginning of my log, that I like to follow tangents, and some of them in my life maybe lasted a few years. It's true. Oh, here it is. That's what the thing is. So so you do find it. So why are you telling me that you're unhappy with this command? Error while loading shared library. This is strange. Okay. Error loading shared library. Check the path environment variable. Required shared library shall be on the same directory as the executable, or on one of the directories listed on that variable. So path seems to be the way. And if path is the way, then this should not be an issue, because this is in the path. I mean, I'll double check the path, but it's right here. Yeah, the thing about the mind stuff, it's always been what came easy to me, right? So, I like math, and I liked geeking out, and I was more introvert and whatnot, right? But then at some point, I guess, and in fact, I can trace that in part to this incident about realizing, something about my health and stress and whatnot. But also, I gotta give a lot of credit to my martial arts teacher, and the fact that I did martial arts when I was younger, and that really opened me up to the fact that I might be good with intellect, but for the rest, there were people that were that had an edge on this. And it's not just that they were physically stronger, but it's just that they had some facility with just understanding how their body worked and stuff like that. And so that got me interested in it. And even though I didn't go necessarily very far with it, but I did get quite passionate about it. And that was a tangent, I was going to training really, really regularly. And it was, in fact, Chinese internal martial art, inspired by Taoism, so one of what's called internal martial arts. And especially so one of the martial arts in the category of Tai Chi Chuan. So, but in this category, there's two other arts that are not necessarily mentioned. There's Xingyi Chuan and Pakwa Chuan, and they all bring a different element or different energy to the table. And just this system and my teacher like really opened my mind up quite a bit about the fact that there was a lot in the world that I didn't know, and that even though I thought that there was, that the mind was pretty much all, there was a lot that I didn't know, and that really opened me up. It made me a little bit more open to things that are not necessarily only completely available in the modern culture, I would say, right? I mean, there's lots of, it's difficult to orient yourself when you start to listen to stuff that's a little bit outside the norm of the modern world. So one needs to be careful walking that path and make sure that you have authentic teachers and so on. It's hard to find that. Yes, break is a good idea. Absolutely. And when we're back, I think, we're on our way. I think we'll find why libstdc C++6 is not being loaded. I think there are other people that came into this problem, so we'll get down to it. And I'll be right back. And we're back. All right. So, where are we? Oh yeah, we had we had some compilation going in the other window. And right, for C2HS. So C2HS is installed now. So does it mean that I can run it? It doesn't mean that, because it's being copied in this... where is it being copied, by the way? I thought it would be installed in the cabal bin folder. Isn't that the case? Let's go check it out. Oh my god, these paths are so annoying. Application. Oh, is it application? Yeah, it's application data and cabal. Oh well, no, cabal bin. No, yeah, it is here. And that's in the past, so... See, documents. Or is it, is there a problem with the spaces in there? Maybe. C2HS. Oh, so now it works. Oh, CH2S. Oh boy. Okay. Welcome back. Let's pretend this never happened. Okay, so this works, and therefore I'll try the cabal command again. Okay, and this should get us a little bit further on the CUDA path, and we're parallelizing. We're trying to deploy something to do data parallel computation, and we're also parallelizing our bug fixing or system problem configuration fixing. Okay, so let's read this in here. Check the path. Okay, I did check the path. So, try an MSys instead of MSys2. Interesting. I have no idea what the difference with this between these things are supposed to be, by the way. Oh, MSys2 supposed to... New version includes Ming W64. But at least it doesn't work in Ming 62, which is the same error here. Did I do something wrong with my MSys2 setting? In addition, I want to know where I can edit the environment variable path so that path can be saved for next use. Yes, that would be awesome. That would solve this problem here. Okay, any variable tool to see what's missing in some kind of dependency checker. MSys2 has NT LDD, which is console only. If you strive for something a bit more visual, use dependencies. Tool from LucasG, we suppose Win10 as well. But that's not an answer. Actually, we did LDD and it worked fine, and it pointed to a library and a path that in fact exists. All right, it has LDD. That's not a very nice advice right there. I mean, I wonder where the LDD comes from, by the way. Which LDD? Yeah, it's with MSys2, I imagine. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I believe you were wrong. A progress is made. Have you depends identify one of the culprits, as you say, DLL, also while compiling libraries of them, program still 3 libraries. So could it be that I have too many things in my path that are right now somewhat conflicting? It does say no such file, so whereas this, you know, like, let's triple check, but absolutely exists. Okay, let's continue reading. API incompatibility. Yeah, but dude, I don't know if I want to listen to you anymore because you weren't very knowledgeable about the NTLDD LDD stuff. No offense, no offense. You might be the person who wrote this library, so thank you for doing it. If you guys, you can probably make an import library use the exports. How about no? MC2 is closer to Sigwin in that regard. EcoPath, blah blah. Windows system. What's wow, that is a long thread. And it didn't work. Okay, so let's see. That seems like the type of packages we've been installing. And if I look at LLVM, oh, right. Remember, we installed LLVM manually from a package we downloaded, as opposed to through Pacman. So it could be that that's the root of the issue. So two things. Either it's because we installed it manually and that's it, and therefore something that Pacman's supposed to do afterwards hasn't been done. By the way, I think this is missing. I did the verify, but then I think I did the Pacman _-u with the package name to do the install. Let's see if that's in our. Yeah, right there. But and it was also a -any. I'm not sure what this was, but the prefix looks like it's really the same as what we've been using. But so the second option is that this was built on. But no. I was thinking maybe it was built with a previous version of the DLL, but this wouldn't be the error message. It wouldn't be no such file directory. LVM config -- version. Yeah. I want to check something. I want to check that if I go to C tools, MCS64, MinGW64 bin. Oh, yeah, no, that does look like that's the same. Yeah, and we do have the libstdc++ -6 right there. So it is available from exactly the same folder. Okay, let's try something a little bit stupid, but you know, while we're at it, let's try LVM config from here. Oh, that's a different error message. And that uses the exclamation point exactly like that other person's error message that we had. Here, if I remember correctly. Yep. Exclamation point. Very strange. Whereas here, Yeah, the version just doesn't work. Correct binary. LDD does seem to point to the correct DLL. Suggestions in 1505. That's not the one that we were looking at, but we can take a look at it. Just starting GQ in the CMD prompt. That seems to work. Okay, let's try this. I'm interested. LLVM config. Yeah, so okay, let's go to C. Same thing, right? Tools, MSys64, main GW 64, and bin, and then LVM config, config, / version. Ooh, I got a Windows alert there. Code execution can proceed because LVM dot was not found. Oh, hold on. libffi 6.dll it says here. So that's another library. Oh, right. libffi 7 right there. So that might be related to our older version. And right, because could it be that it's not giving us, it's saying exclamation mark here because there's some other dependency that's in fact the problem? I mean, I suppose I could also just install libffi 6. That shouldn't be an issue. I mean, if it's available. Let's see if it's available here. libffi. Oh, well, that's a different versioning scheme, it looks like. 3. Oh, but inside this 7. That's a common thing in the package world. So we'd need to go back in time for this. That's a good music to go back in time. Okay, it is here. This was 3.3-2. So I would bet that it's more like the 3.2. Okay. Let's give that a shot. So we're back on the manual old package install, which my hope here is that maybe there's the fact that this fails with this error message, which it's very small, it's hard to say or to tell on stream, but this says libffi 6DLL was not found. So that's a different error message than what we get, but then I'm thinking maybe there's something fishy going on with the reports of the missing shared library. So I'll try to install an earlier version. All right, let's do it. And where are we going to do this? In our experiment thing. Well, we have pkg config here. Yeah, definitely not the best place for it, but well. Yeah, I get it. I do hear you. It is quite frustrating. it is in fact very frustrating. You heard me earlier, I was talking about just saying that how authenticity was important, and yeah, that's kind of what I meant, is that as soon as the people you engage with are not playing by those rules of being, you know, as truthful as they can be, then it's kind of all hell breaks loose, really. There's really you're in bad shape, and the problem is that it's a really old game, disinformation, in human history, and there are institutions that are engaged in it at massive scales, and that's very, very unfortunate. And that's a reason why I think it's important for people in general to be engaged in politics in some way, right? I mean, I'm not very engaged, but I keep track, and when it matters, I try to be engaged. You know what you were saying about being responsible? I think it was yesterday, actually. Yeah, it's kind of similar. Sometimes you gotta take responsibility for the role that you can play in making the world a little bit better. If you can see something to fix that you can fix. There's a danger that this will, sorry, I'm back on programming here, that this will be conflicting with the new version, and that therefore we're not going to end up 3, 2, 1 downgrading. Yeah, well, we can downgrade. This way we'll test the downgrading, and we'll see whether we get our libffi 6 instead of 7. And then we'll re-upgrade. Well, let's trust the package manager. Maybe not such a good idea, but see. Okay, what are you? libffi, you're 6. All right, so let's try command prompt again. Hey, we got a version number from cmd.exe. All right, that's a good one. Good to talk to you as always, and thanks for asking deep questions. You know, I enjoy talking about these things. So see you some other time. All right, LLVM config is going to work here. Yes. So maybe LLVM will be solved. Who knows? Maybe we broke other things by choosing an older version of libffi, but you know what, I'm pretty confident that we haven't actually, so let's go. And okay, plus we now have C2HS as well as, so who knows, it's believable that it will compile, and wow, I'm impressed actually. libffi is recompiling as well, so that's exactly, it should recompile in fact, because now it's going to link with a more, that's an error that I hadn't even considered, and I'm glad that Cabal is actually seeing that. That's good stuff. But yeah, there's a good chance that this will finish compiling. I mean, a good chance. Okay, there is a chance, and I don't know how good it is because it's the first time I do any of this. I mean, not any of this, but on Windows certainly is. Okay, in the meantime, let's try and find out what this whole MSys and MSys2 thing is. Okay, we have an MSys2 developer explaining. That's definitely who we want to hear from, and that's Ray Donnelly. Well, MSys isn't dead, I will say. It's not looking very healthy either. It's a project started by the MinGW team many years ago as a fork of Cygwin that never kept up with Cygwin. Okay. MSys Git is a fork of a slightly older version of MSys with some custom patches, old version of Bash and Perl and a native port of Git. Okay, so does this mean that when I do git bash, that's what I get? I'm gonna try git bash and run, and here we go. And how do I even know? I mean, this seems to be the 64 version, so how do you know? Okay, so I suppose that's another question. How to tell if you're running MSys or MSys2. I suppose if I try Pacman, that might... Oh, uname. Of course, Unix name. And so that looks definitely like version 2 to me. So maybe git bash upgraded? Oh, how old is this version? Oh, 2014. Yeah. So Git for window. Includes a very detailed commit which explains the importance of MSys2 for the new Git for Windows. But I don't know whether this is really Git for Windows. It might be. And I mean, like, if I do Pacman, then I have it, then oh, I don't have it. Interesting. What's path look like here? I do have. Oh, I'm going to. I don't dislike this music, but I'm going to tune it a little bit more down. All right. Okay, so that seems like a quite a complicated environment with lots of fork and lots of... oh, when is this? Someone did a diagram in 2018. Amazing. Wow. Well done. So that's... Wow. Yeah, I'm... you know what? I'm going to log into Stack Overflow just to upvote this because this is good stuff. Wow. Love it. Love putting effort in providing a visual representation. That's amazing. Even providing the source for the diagram in Mermaid as well. I mean, bravo. Well, Mermaid seems like it's in a weird state, however. Why is that? Maybe it doesn't, it's not receiving as much love as it did a couple of years ago. Oh, 21 days. Okay, Mermaid Live Editor. Yes. Oh, there's a new implementation. And there's a live version here. Oof. This is not great. Okay, a little bit better, but oh boy, it's not working. I mean, at least on Edge, but that probably means it's not working on Windows either. Well, that's a bit sad, but yeah, that's a tangent. But I like this tool. It feels like it's a little bit like of a weird assemblage of different technologies. So and also all in JavaScript. So I'm not so surprised that in the end it's a little bit breaking at the seams. But it's really good effort because there's it's basically DSLs to do diagram representation, and that include like a lot of diagrammatic choices like sequence diagrams and more like object, like UML-like things and graphs. And this seems like more of like a package thing. Like actually, this seems like a graph one. I don't know, but see, it's pretty cool to do this just with the DSL. Anyway, all right, back to content. We're technologists, very excited by technology. And by we, I mean I, but probably you too, right? Okay, so MSys2, so the Cygwin is the elder, the respectable elder. It's been forked to an old version of MSys. It was updated to version 32. And then MSys Git was actually a fork of that. And that was used in first version of Git for Windows. Okay. And meanwhile, Cygwin evolved such that a new version of MSys2 was forked from a later version of Cygwin. Oh, although actually there was also an initial forward port from the initial MSys. Okay. And so Git for Windows 2 uses MSys2. And so I suppose that that's what we're on. And then MSys2 uses Arch Linux's Pacman and make pkg, and so that's really good. Not reinventing a package manager is such a smart move. And uses, if possible, MinGW W64 6.x, which is related to a compatibility layer, which is initially a separate project, but that now MSys2 uses. And that seems like it's just a compiler. Huh. And then there's a runtime. That's some variant from the Cygwin runtime, which is a POSIX simulation layer. Huh. Wow. That is pretty intense. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna keep that open because that is quite the thing. Okay, and so where are we with our compilation? Okay, we still haven't won, but oh wow, we won the LLVMHS game. Whew. And now we are, okay, so I can actually check a thing. And where are we with CUDA? We have a build log. Oh, it didn't find C2HS, but that was supposed to exist. Yeah, and it exists here. So what I would say. C2HS. Preprocessing does not exist. File CPP. Where does this close parenthesis come from? That, I mean, this one closes here, right? Strangeness. Okay, let's look again at the code for, okay, so that's C2HS, so the code for CUDA, and thinking that this is what's called C2HS here. Yes, it is. Replicate the default C2HS processor hook here, blah, blah, blah. C2HS program, where are you getting that from? I suppose some library then. think that's going to be in the Cabal file. Or not. C2HS extra options. So I guess we can, maybe we could add such a thing. I wonder if I would generally have a better experience if I tried with stack instead of, because a lot of this is actually seems to be available in stack. Installing on Windows. C2, we need to tell C2HS to use NVCC as the C preprocessor because regular CPP doesn't understand NVIDIA syntax extension. What is the output of CUDA build info? Hey, all of these things seems familiar to where we're at. There is a CUDA build info thing, and there is, but where is it though? Where is it put? Is it right here? No. There's a Docker file. Where am I? Accelerate examples. Data? No. It would be in the disk somewhere, I would imagine. Maybe not. Nothing. Where were these? Oh, in Cabal logs. Well, let's try and see if we can open this. This looked very much like a Windows path, so I suppose I could open File and paste that here. Yes. Oh, so that's pretty much exactly what we're seeing, including that weird parenthesis right there. It's storing CUDA build info generated. Is it here in this on this path? Probably makes sense to add this path to the toolkit and the rest. In fact, fine. And yes, this one. Add that. I don't like having that here. Though that doesn't seem to have any data in it, which feels pretty logical. Oh, okay. It's probably in this 15460 folder right there. TMP, except there's no such thing. Workshop, NBody, accelerate examples, this new style, TMP. I guess that was deleted. That's not a very nice thing to do during a build. but maybe let's look at it from the file system. Yeah, no. It's been deleted. What a strange thing. Why would it do that? And also, why are these build folder empty? Isn't there usually something in that? It's really strange to me. I thought there were things in there, usually. Okay, so let's recap here. Our compilation error seems to... So we don't know whether it's C2HS that does not exist, or whether C2HS tells us that something does not exist. So... But we don't have this folder, so we're not really able to tell. So there's a path where we try and get Cabal to be a little bit more nice with what it does with these temporary files, so that we can see what's up, which would then give us a clue to what CUDA build info is like. And you know, when I look at this, it kind of leans toward the idea that C2HS is telling us that. And it's trying to find a CPP file, which feels weird. Can't look at the failed files. Maintainer of C2HS. And VCC on the header files should be fine. When you get C2HS to run in VCC as a preprocessor, installing accelerate CUDA on Windows. Okay, so that's on the earlier version of MSys. Huh. Probably a much earlier version of everything, to be honest. Although, yeah, CUDA, hold on, 0.13? That's not it. Hold on, there's a problem there. No, version 5. What's going on with these version numbers? Very strange. So, yeah, this seems to be very manual, and also from 2017. Yeah, I don't think we can really depend on any of that. This is 2015. Let's go to the bottom. Yes, I want this. Oh, someone's trying on EC2, but that's not Windows then. Configure output CUDA build info. C2HS doesn't work with NVCC preprocess file. I'm not sure this is what we're running into here. I mean, it's quite helpful to sort of understand the moving parts, but and it's definitely the CUDA library that doesn't install properly, but let's see if there's other more recent Windows-based issues. Issues, Arch Linux, build failure, Windows 0.10, CUDA 0.10. Let's see what's up here. And there are we C2HS. Okay, so I think this tells me that C2HS takes as input something that's in CUDA.buildinfo. So we really need to find this file. Let me try with the Windows search. So, and I guess then the question is also, okay, what's in the Docker file? So there is also the possibility that we just build this in Docker. Okay, so now it would be completely changing strategy, but I don't know what the cost is that we pay when we do Docker on top of the GPU, because there is an NVIDIA tooling to allow to do Docker, to allow to access directly the GPU from inside Docker. At least it exists in the Ubuntu world. Yeah, I don't even know whether it exists in the Windows world. It might not. Let's hope that's not something that will happen to us in the future. What is the version of C2HS we've installed? .0.28.6. So more recent. But this CPP, okay, we need more details from Cabal. Can we just run our Cabal command with some debug flag and be happier, so that we see more output, or maybe it keeps the temp files, or okay, debug. All right. Then how do I do this? Like this? Yes. Debug. Enable debug info. Oof. Wow, that is a long flag. But maybe debug is the wrong. Dash flags debug. Ooh, no, that's not what we want. At least I don't think. Okay, maybe we want verbose and not debug. Okay, let's try dash B. Okay, we seem to be in the CUDA build. Let's see if we can peek at this temporary folder that's going to disappear maybe later under us. 14297. Oh, come on. Oh, boy. All right, let's try and catch this in another terminal window. Okay, we're in the right folder. No, right, we're not. Okay, it's fine, we're not far. Accelerate. This new style, TMP, SRC. Where were you? 14297. Already gone. Okay. What? No, it shouldn't be already gone. It seems like it's right here. Huh. Well, no, it is gone. Oh, there's quite a lot more details. Did it fail at the same point? Distribution client project orchestration. Failed to be accelerated FFT. Depends on the accelerator VM, depends on CUDA, depends on CUFFT. And VMM. I think this is all the same error message, it's just more traces. So we're back to trying to find this file. Okay, maybe there is some instructions about this file somewhere. This is not what we're interested in. Right, I should get this off. And this is about accelerate, yeah. But I'm interested in what's here really. Oh. There's no issue with the version of LD that ships with the 64-bit version of at least GHC 7.4 and GHC 7.10. We use GHC 8.8, so I don't know if that's going to apply to us. We do have a problem with the configure step, but that's not the LD one. And we do have bin utils. In fact, we did install bin utils. Which version did we get? Don't remember, but the latest. And LD, we didn't have a problem with LD. So that's something I might be a little bit more careful about, because indeed I did do something a little bit like that. I mean, maybe exactly like that by adding this in the path. So that's probably not wise. So you know what? We'll relaunch and try and minimize the number of problems that could occur. And redo the path, and we'll need the pkg config as well. And then we'll run the kebab build, and well, you know, I haven't learned anything with the, yeah, we're not in the right folder. Yep, yeah, I haven't learned anything with that verbose mode, so let's not focus on that too much. But yeah, it's C2HS that's seems to be the problem here. GHC86 builds a broken version of C2HS. Okay. We Cabal installed ours, so I don't know. I don't think that would be necessarily a problem. I mean, I guess the main question is where does this build info thing goes? So I'll update this to our current state because we don't have LLVM issues anymore. And yeah, let's wait for this log to show up. And I'm getting close to the end of my rope. I don't want to push just a tiny bit more on this, but oh, different error. Oh, what? It started compiling a package that it hasn't tried compiling before. And it makes sense that it did try because it's trying to build the LLVM native, which is not the LLVM PTX. Therefore, and indeed that should build. So I guess what happened then? Did it stop the whole build or the whole compilation just because the CUDA bit failed? I didn't realize that it would do that. That's a little bit strange. I would have expected it to finish with the steps. That's strange. Okay, so we supposedly have a CUDA build info generated file, and we need to find that. It's a bit ridiculous that we can't. And I actually have a Windows search that's running for that file, and it's not finding it. I think I don't have indexing turned on, and but it's also a little bit ridiculous that we don't have access to those build folders. So well, I don't want to do that, but I suppose I could clone the CUDA repo, install it locally, and amend my Cabal file so that it goes, create a Cabal.project file so that it go and find that local library. And then we'll be able to debug in a more fine-grained manner. So I suppose that's an option if so maybe I'll write that as an option to fix the CUDA build if we can't work it out in another fashion. Plan B. Clone. And yeah, and build it basically. Because then this won't be a temporary folder that just disappears under us. I mean, so Cabal, don't delete TMP folders. How about that? We just don't delete the temp report with the temp directories. Okay, did you say you say it would be easy? Oh, that's Duncan Calstat said that it would be easy. Okay, but is it done? Keep build it here. Given the existence of Cabal unpack. Well, I guess I suppose it depends where this Cabal. Okay, I need to copy this this log here. Yeah, this is here. Oh, you also failed to build Accelerate native. So sounds like actually there's also a problem with that I didn't see. So that's not a warning, that's actually an error. Load object not implemented yet. There is template Haskell. That's a bit scary. I see. Okay, well, that's not what we target. This is closed. So it looks like maybe it was done. So in theory, it would be possible to move to that. Okay, that sounds like that would be fairly heroic, but I mean, as we're spending so much time on this, maybe we're in a good position to help fix it. I have no idea. I've never loaded object files in Windows. Is that true? Maybe it's true. So I think we're not doing anything with not... Yeah, so it's not supposed to be useful. Build there is blah and... Okay, so consider this scenario. Cabal install blah, keep build there. So now you go there, try to fix it. cd temp blah, vim source, cabal install. In that case, in the same workflow as cabal install foobar. How so? So you unpack it, fix it, and install. I have seen this pattern before. I have seen libraries being directly pulled inside the directory. That does seem to be a pattern. And so now if I build, will it pick that up and then will I see things in that folder? Because that's actually the same thing that I was proposing to do here as plan B, but much faster. And let's see. Okay, this is really annoying. I suppose I should CV into CUDA and then Cabal build or install. One of those two. Yeah, it's not clear whether it's actually recompiling anything here or going into our checked out version. Doesn't seem like it might be. So let's try and Cabal build here. Maybe we'll get something more interesting. It's the same version. the only thing we need to do is make it clear to hackers that they can cabal unpack to debug a failing build. Well, this is a self-referential comment. This is me finding out that I can cabal unpack to debug a failing build in the comment that suggests that it should be made clear that cabal unpack can be used to debug a failing build. Okay, so I'm expecting that it's going to do configure things that are going to look similar to what we see in the log there. Like it's done the linking, so it's going to do configuring. It's going to find the toolkit, and it's going to say something about storing parameters. And then fail with C2HS. So it's done in a slightly different order. I think because the first run, hey, here's our file. Huh. So I was definitely onto something here. Flailing, but not completely pointlessly. That's what I wanted to see, because I think this is what gets passed. Yep, here. This is what gets passed. But I say this, but I mean, at least that's going to allow us to test some things, but we don't exactly know what this gets passed. I mean, the only way we can know is by, I mean, I guess now that we have it checked out, maybe it is easier to figure out. What happens in setup, I believe. C2HS. Look at preprocessor. Yeah, because now we have, at least we have a project, and so, okay. So there's some stuff being added to the, let me toggle word wrap here. Yeah. So these extra options are one thing, but we're also passing C2HS options, which unwords minus CPP option together with some -E, some architecture flags. So maybe M64, but I mean, it would be nice to tell us what you launched this with in the end. Isn't there an option to say, show me the build info, or is that the build info? Yeah, that is the build info. Okay. So that's it, and then the build info is used to do the C2HS thing right here, right? So I think this is where it fails, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's in the function called pp C2HS. Okay. Cabal troubleshoot setup.hs. Okay, so maybe we can try and figure out, if we run it manually, where does the failing condition occurs. Let's run minus help. Configure failed. So Cabal does other things, probably as passing options. But what it seems like is that this is being passed to some setup.hs hook machinery. And it's unclear what then gets passed to this. So let's see, maybe it's described inside the Cabal file, because I assume that this would get a lot of its parameters from the Cabal file. And it looks like it does, but let's see. Situation. Yeah, no, I think we did that search, but it's maybe CPP we want, in fact, here, because of that error that we saw, but nothing comes out. Because the error is does not exist file CPP, which is the weirdest. You know what? This could be something where path is not made Windows compliant, possibly. What is CPP? Where is CPP in there? Okay, where could there be some potential for misinterpretation of that? Nothing here. I mean, nothing obvious that I can see. Tested with JC better than A+6. Some examples and whatnot. LVMPTX. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong Cabal file. This is the Cabal file. CPP. Well, doesn't tell us much more, but maybe process the custom C processor preprocessor actually. I guess that's the question, right? The question is this hook, the hooked preprocessors. That seems like that's actually what's being executed, and there should be some documentation on what this does. It's fine, it's doing custom preprocessing, great. Or for specific suffixes, okay. But what are you going to run that on? On all CPP files you find everywhere? CHS. Language CPP. What? Oh, that means CPP. That means the. Oh, that means the C preprocessor actually. So you're trying to. Is that it? Is that you're just trying to replace these things? That doesn't seem. Like that would be something that you would choke on, but maybe that's just where it is. This module does define the user hook type. Simple making configure. Which case are we in? Default main with hooks, and the custom hooks have this to its main. CHS. So this seems like it says look at CHS files of type pp suffix handler, which must be so it's an array of suffix handlers. So this is actually concatenation here, and we're passing it like use C2HS on file CHS. So you know what? I want to try that. I want to use C2HS on, let's say, source and foreign path. CUDA and path. We get the same error. That's progress. Absolutely is progress. Okay, I'm going to actually take a note of that in the log, because that is sort of like a reproduction of the problem. Except I seem to have mutated the the I file as well, apparently. Whereas, well, it could be that actually things got mutated. Yes, they have. Oh yeah, we are absolutely on the right path. In fact, yeah, we're on the right path. And what's here? Path.cuda. Yeah, we have some crazy paths right there. But I think that's, yeah, that isn't that like the Cabal auto path or whatever. Like there's a way to have Cabal automatically get access to stuff in the file system, in the system environment. But that's not, and that I think is declared in the Cabal file itself, if I remember correctly. Path. Here. I thought it was or maybe not. We're past that. This is not. We found the toolkit. It's not a problem. The problem is indeed C2HS. Yeah, so no need to focus on this path. I think in fact it might be a thing that just Cabal does all the time, and then it's free to us to use to import this or not, I think, in a file. macros might be for the FFI. There's something about C2HS here. There is, but in fact something that looks quite like what we have here in terms of the version. But this feels quite strange, unless yeah, exactly. It's like, where is this defined exactly? You want a file? Huh. Okay. I'm thinking that indeed he would be expecting some kind of C++ file. Oh wow, so those are some big names that started this. CPP opt and minus use executable to both CP between flexibles. That's I mean, there's something about the header file must be a C header file matching the given binding file. Okay, I don't even know what this tool does. It's here, right? Yeah. A preprocessor for Haskell FFI binding to C libraries. Makes sense. Uses Haskell access to C libraries. Tooling information about C data type definition and function signatures by analyzing the C header files of the library. And so here lies the rub, right? This is not a C file. Why would you analyze this? The C header files of the library. Oh, of the library? So presumably we're passing the. So what you were telling me here is that this header file is the header file for the library, and then that you're gonna analyze this and then pass some info back down to Haskell. That would kind of make sense. The dump type can be CHS. Dump the binding file and adds.dump to the name. Feels like that's gonna dump the core, or maybe just std out what it's going to do. So I'm not sure that's what I want. Is it the case that if we don't pass it a header file, then it just creates one? I mean, that's a weird thing. But let's continue reading. It uses the information to compute the missing details in the template of a Haskell module called the binding file. Okay, so indeed, that seems correct. Then it would pass here a constant that would then be passed to the Haskell compiler. I get that. Implements a Haskell binding to C library. Okay, yeah. Hooks embedded in the binding file signal where, which, and how C objects are accessed from Haskell. The Haskell code in the binding file determines Haskell type signatures and marshalling details. Okay, I mean, in this case, this is way simpler than that. I mean, unless there's other CHS file that I haven't seen. And this might not be the right way to do the search. But no, I mean, everything's open here. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, no, there are more CHS files. Okay. There's also an internal C2HS. Okay, yeah, marshalling and okay. So there's definitely supposed to be much more smarts at play than this path, but it seems like it's choking just on the path. It is, right? I mean, let's look again at what it succeeded in building. And it looks like really, yeah, it just did its autogen and then it choked on the pre-processing, which started with the path and then just failed there. Okay, so I think I understand that part more or less. Further information in the wiki or CC user guide. Okay, user guide. Usage. Where libcchs is the Haskell binding module defining the Haskell interface to C library together with the required marshal encoded. If situation is invoked in this manner, the binding module must also contain a CPP include directive. Okay, path, please. I don't see a CPP include directive to determine the C side interface of the library. So alternatively, a C header file can be specified on the command line. And that sounds like, however, the latter option is only preserved for backward compatibility and not recommended. If no error occurred, C2H generates 3 files. A pure Haskell module, and we don't even get there, a C header file, lib.h, and I don't think that this is one. Hold on. Is it treating... Oh my god, is it treating like the CHS file as a header file? Oh, this is so weird. A C2HS interface file lib.chi that is used by... This could be that those are just intermediary files though, but looks like whatever we have, show version information, but yeah, it looks like that's pretty much verbatim what we have here, except for the platform. Most useful of this is probably CPP ops to do some imports and whatnot. Okay, so let's revert back to looking at setup and try and understand, now that we know all of this, understand better what's happening here. What's in preprocessors? Preprocessors has hooked. Whoa. It's not the same one, is it? Is that part of the library? I guess it is. And then it's just also the name of a record. Isn't that going to be some record craziness going on if you do that? At least a warning, right? Oh no, okay. What? Is this recursive? Is that what's going on? Our read hook implementation uses our get hook built-in for. We can't rely on Cabal's autoconf user hooks since they don't handle user overrides to build info like we do. Hook preprocessor, simple user hooks. So that's from the library, right? Default main with hooks, and custom hooks is equal to simple user hooks. Which is where? Simple user hook, distribution simple. Hooks that correspond to a plain instantiation of the simple build system. And so then when you pass hook preprocessor, then you get the PP suffix handler. I mean, this is recursive, right? I'm not dreaming here. Simple user hook is defined in terms of hook preprocessor, which appends this CHS to the PPC2HS, and then filters preprocessor with this for everything that is not CHS, so skipping this, and gets the preprocessors, and the preprocessors come from the application of this label, this record field name, to simple user hooks, which in turn is this. So it skips CHS and then it's finished. That way it goes on. I don't know, but anyway, it doesn't seem like it's entering in a crazy loop. But I don't see. I mean, I imagine maybe then it's done so that there can be other preprocessor added somewhere else in the build system. I don't understand why there is this loop there, but well, also the first time I look in detail into this setup.hs anyway. Okay, well, fine, but I guess it's enough to make things crash to just pass it indeed CHS as the extensions. A preprocessor for turning non-Haskell files with a given extension into plain Haskell source file. And indeed, we take the string and then we pass it PPC2HS, which ends up passing all of the CHS files to our program, which takes a build info and the local build info, whatever that is. What is that? So there's the build info here. Maybe an override. I imagine, maybe, probably. Build info is all the things. Oh, so that's probably from Cabal itself, in fact. And then local build info, maybe that's the build info generated thing that we pass. I can believe that, maybe. Except that, why not? Okay. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, yeah. So that's the whole complexity of that was hinted at in this comment right there. Because we want to handle user overrides to build info. So maybe that's some of where it gets quite tricky. Let's see where this is used. To generate and store build info, which ends up with a hooked build info. Okay, I think we can avoid getting into this and still understand what happens with PPC2HS, because here we get, this is a preprocessor, and the preprocessor, so I guess we need to understand the preprocessor type, and there we go, that's it. And it takes, so it's platform independent or not, and then it runs a preprocessor. And that's done by making a preprocessor or not. In our case, we don't. In our case, we go straight to writing the function itself. It takes a file path or two and some verbosity, and then executes some IO action. So in base dir and a file. Okay, so that's a base and file, and outputs and then has an output base and file pair here. No, that's not the. If we pass it something that takes two file paths, so we don't use the make simple file processor. We just go directly with this. So we're actually using this interface. So, and this interface is in base dir in relative file or out base dir out relative file and so verbosity, and returns some IO action which supposedly spits out. So let's read this. The interface to a processor which may be implemented using an external program, but you have to be, so in our case it definitely is. Argument are the name of the input file, name of the output file, and a verbosity level. Here's a simple example, blah. We split the input and output file into base directory and the rest of the file name in blah blah blah. Output base dir is the build dir where all generated source files are put. Yeah. Reason for splitting it up this way is that some processors don't simply generate one output HS file from one input file, but have dependencies on other generated files. Notably, C2HS, where building one HS file may require reading other .chi files, and then compiling the HS file may require reading a generated .h file. That's interesting, because if that's the case, then maybe execution order for CHS preprocessing actually matters. And here it seems like we're starting from the top. And if the top actually depends on stuff from the leaves, then that's not the correct execution order. But who knows? And then compiling the HS file memory. Okay. In these cases, the generated files need to embed relative path names to each other. E.g., the generated HS file mentions the H file in the FFI imports. This file must be relative to the base directory where the generated files are located. It cannot be relative to the top level of the build tree because the compilers do not look for .h files relative to there, i.e. we do not use -i dot, instead we use -i dist build or whatever this dir has been set by the user. Most preprocessors do not care, of course, so MK simple preprocessor handles the simple case. And in fact, there is a PPC2HS, but it's been overridden. It's been hidden here, and let's look at what the code difference is. Processor. Oh, here, we arrived at it. Okay. Platform independent false does the thing, and then do C2HS prog. It finds a program, needs to be later than some version, gets GCC, and so here we got the program some other way. We pass the local build info somehow to run DB program. So I suppose that that's something we should look up, and run DB program. Really? Do you mean database? Are you actually Cabal run DB program? Looks up the given program in the program database and runs it. Is that the whole PKG config? Like, there's like a system discovery of programs? Repository, C2HS program. And this is also imported. Yeah. Program that Cabal knows about. Is that some kind of... So they're kind of aliases. How do we export it? Are we imported from DB, I suppose? No. Utils? No. Okay, Give me an index, please. And we were in a very old version. And in fact, which version do we use? I think a fairly recent one. Yep, latest one, 3200, almost the latest one. And I was looking at simple and oh yeah, no, well, actually I can go into simple if I want, but because I don't have another way to get to index. And then we say the C2HS program, so that would be in C. And here it is. It's the built-in or a simple program. Oh yeah, no, that's the export, the re-export. So that's where it is. And then what is that? Program find version, blah. So I suppose that's the kind of the configure part where it checks whether it finds the program. Okay, interesting. And then it runs it, and what else does the RunDB program have? As oh, I think I was a bit overzealous with my deletion here. RunDB, not here. Here. RunDB program. Might takes the look up the program here, so that's some database. Oh, Also, the local build info could contain path to other programs, something like that. Well, yeah, maybe. Huh, this looks wrong. Let's see. I mean, this looks also terrible, but I think it might. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. It does look terrible. Oh, hold on. We added this folder to our project exactly for a case like this. Lib x64. So we have libs here. Why are they called libs? It's a strange thing. But why not? Then we have some headers here. And some headers here. So that seems like the right thing, and it's we tend to include. So that looks fairly correct. And so if I pop back the stack here, I know that I can run the program. Hey, Barry. Oh, yeah. Well, I wish I was working with Accelerate, you know, but I'm working with Windows building against CUDA. But I'm learning some stuff about Cabal and setup.hs in Cabal that I didn't know before. So that's interesting because I've always wondered. But you know, it's still the Windows that's taking most of the time, and I haven't been doing much Haskell in this Haskell stream, unfortunately. How you doing? Getting angry at Twitch? Oh yeah? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you mean that Twitch is sad or that Windows fighting is sad. Okay, well that sounds like me. What are you debugging? Twitch issues? So it's actually the FFI library, the CUDA library. you know, all of this is probably never tested on Windows, or not tested very well, or and so this there's a preprocessor called C2HS. Check this out. Actually, it's funny, a little bit of archaeology. C2HS, if you do version or help, actually I had it up there. But check this out. 1999, 2007, Manuel Chakravarti, 2005, 2008, Duncan Coutts. So some serious heavyweights have been working on this, and it's a fairly involved way to define what are CHS files, which I have some here, which allow to basically get information from C headers and do something with it in your Haskell code before then compiling your Haskell code. So you can intermingle your Haskell code with reference to things that are defined in the linked library. So it's the Haskell FFI basically, but with this kind of pre-processing pass that just happens to fail in my environment, which is also not necessarily a super standard environment, because I'm refusing to use Docker, which maybe I should, in fact, because at least I know that Docker can link to an NVIDIA GPU on Ubuntu. I don't know if it can do that in Windows. And I think I actually had trouble just running my Docker on this machine, which is a little bit old. Yeah, obviously the other option is to switch to my Ubuntu partition. But here the issue is that as part of the configuration path that Haskell, that Cabal does when executing this setup.hs and trying to do the pre-processing path, then it fails with some error. And I can reproduce, so I know the culprit, but so if I do this, yeah, that's the error I get in my Cabal build. Very informative error, but I've traced it and I know why it happens. I mean, I know how to reproduce it, but I don't know exactly why it doesn't work yet. And I'm following tangents, making sure that I learn about stuff that I've never seen before, rather than that's the advantage of not doing this for work, right? Is that I can take my time and be like, oh yeah, let's admire the view here. Yes, that's right. But this is more heavyweight preprocessing. Like like I think the CPP preprocessor does basic like if-def macro kind of like things like minimum version and whatnot. Here we're talking about pretty involved preprocessing that interacts with the C libraries. So how it's described in the CHS. Is something like let's see, right, here, right, hooks embedded in the binding file signals where, which, and how C objects are accessed from Haskell. The Haskell code in the binding file determines Haskell type signature and marshalling details. So it's really the interface, a pretty low-level interface, but that's more than just like an if-def that CPP I know can do. Oh, this could. You're right that this could mean that the CPP preprocessor doesn't exist. I was having trouble parsing this error message, but you're right. Maybe it just means that, in fact, it doesn't have the C preprocessor installed. Yes, you are absolutely right. It doesn't have the C preprocessor installed. In fact, I had to install a lot of things manually here, so it's not surprising. So let's. Thanks. Nice. Yeah, I couldn't parse it. I simply was like, why you, this is a CHS file. Why are you trying to find a CPP file? There's no CPP file here. Okay, so, but that makes tons more sense. So then now the question is, how do I get the C preprocessor for this particular environment in Windows? Maybe just GCC then. Maybe. I think if I search in the GCC package, it will tell me what it will install. Well, oh, that's right. Toolchain. It seems like maybe I should have toolchain, right? Oh, that's part of toolchain, I see. And well, okay, maybe it's in. I did install binutils, but visibly not in that. Maybe installing toolchain is a good idea actually, because there's a number of things here that I had to install manually, and that's a sign that, in fact, installing the virtual package that contains them might be exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's try this. Indeed, I had binutils here, so before I remove it, I'll just try to install it. So this this environment is a MSys2, which apparently, yeah, that's good. Install. Which is quite an interesting thing. MSys2 is where did I? Oh yeah. There's this whole there's a Stack Overflow comment there where someone made a diagram to explain the legacy of different well, POSIX simulation layers and then package distributions for POSIX compliant compilation and package registries. And so that's what I'm using now. Sourcing stuff from SourceForge. Seems like it has mirrors. I like the fact that this environment uses Pacman as the package manager. That's one of the good things about Arch Linux. So they reuse that instead of building their own. It's a good sign. installing BNutils, huh? Interesting. Okay, so I can remove BNutils from here. Are you going to install pkgconfig as well? Wonder. Didn't see it in the list. Nope. CPP actually means cross-platform preprocessor? Or what? CPP. Tell me, what did you learn? Processor macro. Oh, you mean what I was just saying? I'm not even sure that that's the case. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm trying to verify that that's the case, because it's hard to even find this. I also thought it was no, it's C preprocessor. I think. Yeah, it's C preprocessor. But you're right. Cross-platform preprocessor actually also makes sense. I guess it's one of these recursive acronyms then all of a sudden. So what trouble is Twitch giving you? Oh, in the chat. Oh. No, that's not good. Yeah, I quite hate the fact that you can't set up something like just a sound notification for chat without installing like a whole other chat. Do you use Chatty? Because that's where I ended up setting up, and it's like a IRC-like client like this, and that can be, well, yeah, it's ugly, but right. So I don't know if this would help, but I know that I use it because I can use the sound notifications, and because my chat is somewhere else, because I don't want to have it in front of me, you know, it's way better to have the sound notification, and I couldn't get a sound notification from the basic web tooling that Twitch offers. Chatterino, I don't know it. Oh, maybe I've seen it. Is it good? Can you do sound notifications? Wow. Yeah. Oh. Well, that's not great. And I had this problem before, and that was because of an incompatible DLL. DLL hell. Okay, well, the good thing is I think I'm not going to use CA certificates for GPU programming, so I'm okay with fighting that battle some other time, like for instance, never. Compiling. Okay, so right. I'm actually kind of doing this now. Well, you know, you gotta pick and choose your battles sometimes. Okay, CPP. Yes, I like this. That sounds to me like CPP is now installed. So does this mean I can run this? It does, and that's much better errors. And so, wow, thank you so much, Barry. You totally got me unstuck here. Really appreciate it. And so I seem to be now back on track to building. And here's to hoping that at least I will get a little bit further. When you do systems, that's often the case, right? The lower level you are, the more you have to debug. Especially if you do cross-platform stuff, right? Then you're always your nose inside other people's builds. Yeah, yeah. It's a very different skill set than software engineering, right? Right. Yes, yes. Happiness ensues, indeed. Right. It is quite a different skill set. It's more like investigative work, like rather than design or thinking. It doesn't have much to do with thinking. Resilience is actually a key skill for that, like or persistence or. Okay, hey, building. I think building. No, is building further than I was before? I'm not sure. Might be. Oh, then there was an error with LLVM native. Right, how am I going to deal with that, given that they said that it was not implemented on Windows? Yeah, I might need to just make it so that actually it's not built, because I'm not going to use that backend, so I might just comment it out in Cabal. It's this error. No. No. It's this error. Keep a symbol in the object file. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have made progress. We now have compilation error instead of configuration errors, and so that's pretty awesome. And however, right. So this error is the one I was mentioning. It's just something that's not implemented yet for Windows. So I think for that, I will just comment out my I will do my first change to the code base by saying, hey, well, in fact, it's not the checked in code base because I generated this Cabal file. So I'll just say don't import the native backend, please. Actually, you shouldn't be importing it. Why are you importing it? Some dependency weirdness then. Oh, no, it's, yeah, no, that's in that package. Is it because of FFT? Okay, let's try dash v for more detail. Maybe it will tell us why it wants to build. LVM native. Idle packages. What is this? Why is it added at the end like this? Starting LVM native. But why do you start it? Yeah, no, it doesn't tell me. Barry, if you're still here, do you know if there's a Cabal command to know why in the dependency tree a certain library is pulled? Let's see, a candidate would be the FFT library. Maybe the FFT library is using the... Right. It's one of the things that... yeah, well, I found it, I think. This is the FFT library that tries to pull it in. And FFT is... Shot in the dark. Seem to have worked this time. Okay. Oh, FFT by default is true. So that would explain it. If not flags most live, buildable. What is this? Okay. FFT examples. Sure. Okay. So it's just the fact that it's true by default. So I suppose I can try dash no FFT maybe. How do I invert a flag? Who knows? Flag. Global flags. Yeah, no, it's not where I want to be. Strong flags. Constraints. flags. E.g. minus flag debug minus. Yes, there is a syntax for it. Very good. And so I suppose I can do minus FFT. And I don't want the verbose, thank you. And I'm getting the native stuff, and I'm getting FFT as well. So not that then. Minus flags. Forces a flag debug to be true and used by string to false. And minus there. Okay, maybe I'll concatenate my flags then. NBody, LLVM, PTX, and okay, maybe I need to do minus flags. What does, let's look at NBody again. What does it pull in? That's the lib. Okay, I'll set FFT to false here and see if at least it does something. Nope. Do I need to clean? No, I shouldn't. Come on. So there must be another transitive dependency somewhere. Cabal. View transitive dependencies. Build depends. List recursive dependency of a package. How did this finish? A command line feature like this would be awesome. Next door, right? He hacked up this, of course he did. Oh. What? Oh, it's for auto-generated, what? Mission hack, she hacked up the script which generates out. Oh, generates output like. Okay, so that's not that. Extend the cabal list command with dash dependencies. Did anyone actually really do that? That's still an open issue. Yeah, some folks did it for licenses. And that's some CLI API design, but we're still open, so I don't think that we have anything there. But let's see if cabal list minus help actually does something, or even if cabal list does something, because I don't even know about cabal list. List all packages or packages matching a search string. Yeah, no, that's not going to be very useful, and there is no such thing as a dependencies option. So, well, looks like we're back to trying to define the. Okay, I think there's a thing in Kebab project, right? Because we can specify things with regards to like package bounds and whatnot, so it should be possible to say don't import that package. So you can say locations, purpose, jobs keep going, project file, solver. Minus baz. Okay, what is minus baz? Constraint. As the value constraint takes the same form as a constraint command line option. Dash dash constraint. Okay, constraint. Conditions. Can I say minus accelerate LVM native in the NBody example? This looks like flags, though. This don't look like. Oh. Could I pass a flag here, like minus FFT? That work? Nope. Buildable false. Oh, do we have something that get built and that shouldn't? No. So this could possibly be the culprit. The accelerate package itself could be having all these dependencies. But no, it doesn't. And then, yeah, then none of those would. LVM PTX. Okay, yeah, maybe our LVM PTX actually depends on the LVM native, and then we're a bit screwed. But it doesn't. It just depends on the LVM, on accelerated LVM. So if accelerated LVM depends on accelerate, no, it doesn't. So here we are sane. So it's really maybe about some other defaults being true that are... Oh, LRVM CPU is true. Oh man. Holy moly. Okay, so that's very much a possible candidate for mayhem. And we still require some native thing there, so find false. It looks like all of those flags are true by default, so that would actually also be a big problem, because if I have to specify that they're false manually, then we'll be there till the end of time. So how about I make everybody false and stop worrying with flags. Yep, that's right. Oh boy, I guess it's examples. Fine. Is there a way to set all flags to false? Cabal, set all flags to false. Set the bug flag to true. Yeah, I guess I could have a project file where I set those flags to false. I think that's probably that would be the recommended way. Get out the project and flag. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's do that instead so that we don't pollute our... Oh boy, I hate this. We don't pollute our repo. And then we do flags. And then we do minus all the things. Okay, you're building over there. Oh, well, are you gonna... Is there a way to list the flags or... Okay, compilation errors is not too bad. Oh, especially if you go to 41 or 44. That is nice. Okay. So... Oh. So that looks like a FFI library mismatch. Some renaming of constants and or types. But it's just one of them, so that should be tractable. Yeah, it's always the CUL long versus CU long. So that's not bad at all. So let me continue with this kebab project thing. A very interesting job of... Well, I could probably, if I was good with sed, I could probably write a script for this, but I suppose I can do like something a little bit stupid, but that would work like this, and then, wow, NBody. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll make it a plus. Oh, and then I suppose I could replace alright, poor man's regex, because I don't want to do regex, and plus NBody. Oh, and plus LRVM PTX. And then let's restore the cabal file. And see if we get to the same point. Alright, you need some stuff that's needed in there. Like packages. Dot, huh? Yeah. Okay, and I think that's a good place to stop, in fact, because now I'm done with the build errors. I'm not really complete. I'm done with the build errors, and I'm up to compilation error. It's still related to something that's a bit systemy because it's about some FFI thing. But why did you stop? Because are you smart because you know the code didn't change and therefore you not recompile? Maybe. Okay, I log the error. The current status now is, well, actually I'm going to keep this because that's my log. And so current state is this error. Well, be a little bit more generous with this. Okay, that should be fine and fairly easy to pick up. So fix CUDA build, it still requires now this guy to be fixed. Okay. And yeah, that's fine with me. And did we? Yeah, I just must have Control C, and it must have not echoed. But let's make sure. And let's copy all these links. I mean, there's quite a bit of noise here, but better more than nothing in this case. But let's reset though, because yeah, most of these are not useful right now. And we are in the same state. All right, excellent. So that's it for me. Barry, thanks a lot for getting me over that previous hump. Really appreciate it. Hope your chat is working again. And yeah, I'll see you some other time. Take care.